I woke up this morning on February 8, 2025, and tried many times to log into the internet via PlayStation, but all attempts were unsuccessful. After a lot of searching and questions, I asked my friends, and everyone was suffering from the same problem. The PlayStation Network, Sony's online gaming service, was down. Completely down. No online gaming, no PlayStation Store. Gamers were left in the dark, unable to connect with friends or access their favorite games. Not even any official word from Sony for hours. The silence was deafening. Gamers were left refreshing their screens, hoping for any sign of life from the network. For many gamers, it felt like 2011 all over again. Memories of the infamous PlayStation Network hack came flooding back. The year hackers turned Sony's digital playground into a ghost town for almost a month. It was a time of chaos and uncertainty. This time, the outage started on February 7, 2025. The timing was eerily similar, adding to the sense of déjà vu. Rumors spread like wildfire through online forums and social media. Was this a glitch? A DDoS attack? Theories ranged from the plausible to the outlandish. Or something far more sinister, like the massive data breach of 2011? The fear of history repeating itself was palpable. The lack of information only fueled speculation and fear. Gamers were left to piece together the puzzle on their own. Many gamers, especially those who lived through the 2011 hack, were immediately concerned about their personal information. The memories of compromised data were still fresh. Was their data at risk again? The uncertainty gnawed at them. Were their credit card details in the hands of hackers? The fear of financial loss loomed large. The uncertainty was the worst part. Sony, meanwhile, remained silent. The wait for answers felt endless as the gaming community held its breath. Back in 2011, the hacker group Anonymous was suspected to be involved. Their signature Guy Fawkes masks and cryptic messages added to the chaos. This time, whispers of Anonymous resurfaced. Was the group behind the 2025 outage? The speculation was rampant. The involvement of Anonymous, whether real or imagined, only heightened the tension. Gamers were left wondering if they were once again caught in the crossfire of a digital war. The 2011 PlayStation Network hack was a watershed moment in gaming history. It was a stark reminder that even the biggest companies were vulnerable to cyber attacks. Hackers, allegedly associated with the group Anonymous, infiltrated Sony's systems, stealing personal data from 77 million accounts. Names, addresses, login details, and even credit card information were compromised. The impact was immediate and devastating. The PlayStation Network went offline for 23 days, a lifetime in the gaming world. Gamers were furious. Sony faced a massive backlash, lawsuits, and a severely damaged reputation. It was a wake-up call for the entire gaming industry. The 2025 outage, while still shrouded in mystery, immediately drew comparisons to the 2011 debacle. The silence from Sony, the lack of information, and the scope of the outage all felt eerily familiar. It was a stark reminder that history has a way of repeating itself, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. The impact of the 2025 PlayStation Network outage was felt immediately by millions of gamers worldwide. It was as if a digital lifeline had been severed, leaving countless players in a state of confusion and frustration. For many, gaming is more than just a hobby. It's a social lifeline, a crucial part of their daily routine. It's a way to connect with friends, share experiences, and build communities. It's also a way to unwind after a long day, providing a much-needed escape from the stresses of everyday life. The outage disrupted this delicate balance. The outage meant no online gaming sessions, no digital purchases, and no access to their gaming libraries. Gamers were left staring at error messages, unable to connect to their favorite games. The frustration was palpable as players realized they couldn't access the games they had invested so much time and money into. The timing couldn't have been worse. It was the weekend, a prime time for gaming, and the outage left many with no way to enjoy their free time. The highly anticipated Monster Hunter Wilds beta was scheduled for that weekend, and countless gamers were eagerly awaiting their chance to dive into the game. The excitement had been building for weeks. Gamers had cleared their schedules, prepared their gear, and were ready to embark on new adventures. The outage dashed those hopes. The outage meant missed opportunities, broken promises, and a whole lot of frustration for gamers. It was a bitter pill to swallow. The lack of communication from Sony only amplified the frustration. Gamers took to social media to vent their anger and seek answers, but there were none to be found. The silence from Sony was deafening. Customer service lines were overwhelmed, and there was no official word on what had caused the outage or when it would be resolved. Gamers were left in the dark, unsure of what was happening, how long the outage would last, or if their personal information was at risk. The uncertainty was maddening. Every minute felt like an eternity as players refreshed their screens, hoping for a miracle. They anxiously waited for updates, clinging to the hope that the outage would be resolved quickly. News reports began to surface, speculating on the cause and potential duration of the outage. The lack of concrete information only fueled the anxiety. The silence was deafening, and it spoke volumes about Sony's preparedness or lack thereof for such an event. The company's reputation was on the line. Behind the scenes, Sony employees scrambled to troubleshoot the issue, but the damage had already been done. Gamers were left feeling abandoned and betrayed. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to TermiSquad_gaming for all the latest updates and content. Now back to the story. In the age of instant communication, silence is often more telling than words. And in the case of the 2025 PlayStation Network outage, Sony's silence spoke volumes. For hours, there was no official word from the company, no acknowledgement of the problem, and no reassurance for worried gamers. The official PlayStation support account finally acknowledged the outage, but the message was brief and offered no concrete details. The PlayStation Network service page, usually a hub for information during outages, was equally unhelpful, simply stating that all services were offline. This lack of communication stood in stark contrast to the way companies typically handle such situations in 2025. In an era of transparency and proactive communication, Sony's silence was deafening. It eroded trust, fueled speculation, and left gamers feeling frustrated and abandoned. The 2011 PlayStation Network hack was a painful but valuable lesson for Sony. The breach exposed the personal information of millions of users, leading to a massive outcry and a significant loss of trust in the brand. The company faced harsh criticism for its slow response, lack of transparency, and inadequate security measures. Gamers and industry experts alike were vocal about their disappointment, and the media coverage was relentless. In the aftermath of the hack, Sony implemented a number of changes to improve its security and its communication with users. The company realized that it needed to rebuild its reputation from the ground up. Sony invested heavily in strengthening its network infrastructure, ensuring that such a breach would be much harder to execute in the future. Implementing more robust security protocols, including multi-factor authentication and regular security audits, and enhancing its data encryption methods to protect user information more effectively. The company also created a new position, Chief Information Security Officer, to oversee all aspects of cybersecurity. This role was crucial in ensuring that security remained a top priority. On the communication front, Sony promised to be more transparent with users in the event of future outages or security incidents. They aimed to provide timely updates and clear information to avoid the confusion and frustration experienced in 2011. However, the 2025 outage suggests that Sony may not have fully learned the lessons of the past. The incident once again left users in the dark, with many feeling that the company's response was inadequate. The company's slow response and lack of communication were reminiscent of its handling of the 2011 hack. This raised concerns about whether the improvements made were sufficient or merely superficial. It raised serious questions about whether Sony had truly made the necessary changes to protect its users and its reputation. The recurring issues suggest that there may still be significant gaps in their approach to cybersecurity and crisis management. Remember the 2025 PlayStation Network outage? It left many of us frustrated and questioning the future of online gaming security. As we dive deeper into online gaming, the stakes get higher. Cyber attacks aren't just a nuisance, they can ruin our gaming experiences. Think about it. Data breaches, service disruptions, and financial losses. These are real threats that can affect us all. For Sony, the mission is clear. They need to win back our trust and show they can keep our online gaming safe and reliable. They must be transparent about their security measures, communicate better during outages, and be ready to act quickly when things go wrong. The 2025 outage is a wake-up call. Cybersecurity is a continuous battle, not a one-time fix. As hackers get smarter, companies like Sony need to stay alert, adaptable, and always a step ahead. The future of our online gaming and the trust of millions of gamers depends on it. Let's hope Sony is up to the challenge. At the moment, Sony has partially fixed the problem, and you can now play without any issues. Here are some steps to ensure your account's security. First and foremost, change your PSN password and make it a strong one. Enable two-factor authentication for an extra layer of security. And keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements for any suspicious activity. Remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed about the situation by following reputable gaming news sources and Sony's official channels. Don't believe everything you read on social media, as misinformation spreads quickly during these types of events. It's frustrating to be locked out of your favorite games, but remember that Sony is working to resolve the issue. In the meantime, maybe dust off that old single-player game you've been meaning to revisit. You might be surprised at how much you enjoy it. Termi Squad Gaming wishes you a good time. Share your opinions about the matter in the comments. Do you think it was just a system repair and development? Or was there a system hack? Could this happen again? Stay safe out there, gamers. The problem seems to be mostly resolved, so take control and enjoy your games.
In the shadows where the battles rage, I stand alone.